Hi guys, Rob Esposito here with Craft Lifestyle on Tap, the show where we talk about all things craft. Today we're here with...
I'm Denise Clarke, co-owner of Altipiano Vineyard and the winemaker as well.
Yeah, and we're up here in the Highlands of Escondido. We're going to try some wines today. We're going to walk the property a little bit, check out the amazing vineyards and all the great facilities that they have here. This is a great place, guys. There's a lot. I mean, it's a real hidden gem. Can't wait to tell everybody about it. So, Denise, tell us a little bit about how you got started in winemaking, and then we can transition that into telling our audience about how the winery came to be.
Well, I got into winemaking in 2012. I took over. When we first got started, we did have a winemaker. I started going to every festival and seminar that I possibly could because my background is human resources, so I didn't have an enology or viticultural background. And so talking about taking a leap of faith, I took a leap of faith because I just saw our wines going in a certain direction and wanted to pursue that. So I talked to my biggest fan club, which is my husband and my daughter, and I said, I think this is what we should do. And I jumped off the cliff, and I'm still doing it.
And so how many years? When did you guys officially start?
We officially planted in 2008. The vineyard came about as a result of the '07 wildfire, and we had 900 avocado trees, and everything burned except for the houses. So fortunately, though, we had gone to southern Tuscany in March of that year, and we fell in love with the countryside, and my husband always fantasized about having a vineyard. So needless to say, after the fire came through, he said, we should plant a vineyard. I said, darling, we know nothing about planting a vineyard. So we hired a consultant and had our soils analyzed, and everything else is history. We planted 3,600 vines. We knew from the beginning, we wanted to plant Italian varietals because that's what we fell in love with. And so 3/4 of our field were green, grafted up in Santa Rosa at Nova Vine with the Brunello clone. And I have Barbera, I have Cab for my Super Tuscan and Petite Syrah.
And so you had avocado trees before you transitioned to wine, and
Absolutely.
I mean, wildfires are terrible, and I've lived through a whole bunch of them at this point. But I mean, that's really some silver lining. I mean, especially since I imagine it's kind of hard to make wine out of avocado. I haven't tried, and somebody I'm sure will prove me wrong. But I would assume it's a little more difficult.
Absolutely. Well, it was. It was quite difficult. You know, making wine is very difficult. There's the science, but then there's the art. There's what Mother Nature gives you. And as the winemakers, your job is to give the best interpretation that you can. And so that's what we strive for here is understanding what Mother Nature has given me and staying true to the varietal and making the best wines we can make.
That's awesome. And having already tasted some, spoiler alert, they are the best. So where exactly are we right now? Where is the winery located?
We are the best hidden little gem. So Highland Valley, we're up in the Highland Valley area. It's south of the Wild Animal Park. They call it a plateau. It's very pretty. We've been here over 20 some odd years. My husband and I drove out here in 1997. And as soon as we saw the property, we just fell in love with it. The history of Highland Valley, though, it was a grape growing region prior to Prohibition. Mm-hmm. And so it's pretty much just gone back to its roots. After Prohibition, it changed into avocados and citrus. But the beauty about this being, it was an agricultural preserve when we first bought the property. But when the fire came through, burned all the avocados, We had decomposed granite, but with organic for just over 30 years. And the soil was so rich. And everyone in this area has that beautiful microclimate. We get a marine layer that comes in and burns off about 11. There are some wineries. There's 9 wineries now. We were the second to open. Cordiano was the first winery to open here. And Jerry and Rosa were our best mentors. You can't do this business without the help of friends and neighbors, and we were all neighbors prior to getting into this. And it's just been really wonderful to see our community grow even more. We're a very tight-knit community up here. There's fabulous award-winning wines that the wineries are making up here. This past competition was the 2022 San Francisco Chronicle, and I believe 5 of the wineries that submitted for the competition took extraordinary medals. So we're really putting San Diego on the map. Highland Valley is just a beautiful place to come. Every place that you go to, every winery is different because the owners live there. That's the difference with our community. We live there. You're going to meet the winemaker. You're going to meet the horses if you go to Domaine Artifact, or you're going to meet Jerry and Rosa and Frank. And you have multi-generational of family members.
And your kids are involved in the winery as well, right?
My daughter and the grandkids don't have a choice. Those little fingers know how to harvest at harvest time.
Oh.
But yes, I mean, because everything we do is for our children and our grandchildren. And it's what motivates me. I started in this industry at 54. I came out of human resources, and I'll be 66 in March, and I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm having a blast. You know,
I never did either. I didn't have the resume for astronaut. Turns out cowboy and pirate are both not actual things, so I'm still just winging it as
well, I'm
as
a
I go
cowgirl,
along.
so I can understand. I love that.
Very good. Perfect. So if I wanted to find some delicious Altipiano wine, where would I be able to go to get that? How far is your reach?
We actually distribute across the country. You can purchase our wines, though, through our e-commerce online, through our wine club, through our website.
And what's that website?
It is www.altipianovineyard.com. We produce about 1,400 cases, and we sell out. So we have a wine club. You can go on and sign up for the wine club. It's quarterly. We throw some of the best parties. It's closed to the general public. Our club members come up and they just have that experience, because that's what we're really trying to create, is that total experience where club members bring their family, bring their friends, enjoy a glass of wine, and get back to the basics. It's kind of the same concept as slow food, but people need to slow down. Having come in out of human resource, I understand the challenges of being in corporate and the grind. So when people come up here, we want them to relax. We want them to enjoy the music of wine and to enjoy our lush patios. We have about 4,000 square feet of patio. We also just launched in July our 4 rooms that are considered farm stay, but they're very high-end villas. Each room is named after the estate varietals that we grow. So we have a Cabernet room, a Petit Syrah, a Barbera, and a Sangiovese. And anyone looking to rent those rooms can just give us a call. The number's on our website, or just give me a call and I can give them more information. But we're pretty excited about that.
So you'd mentioned that that you were mainly focusing on Italian wines, Italian varieties, and the eye-tie in me very much appreciates that. But maybe you could tell us a little bit more about why those particular styles of wine and those particular grapes kind of speak to you, and maybe, you know, what's your favorite, if you have one.
You know, people ask me all the time, do I have a favorite? And I would say that they're just all different. But what I will qualify it by saying Sangiovese is one of the most amazing grapes that I've had the pleasure of working with. It has pulled me out of my comfort zone. It has shown me different aspects depending on the growing cycle, whether we're having cold weather or hot weather. And it's really made me have to think outside the box in terms of how do I best showcase her. When I first started learning about Brunello, I was under the impression, based on just conversation with other winemakers, that they were treating it like the varietal, like it was masculine. It's not masculine. It's very feminine. And so, but it doesn't mean that that wine can't be really bold. It's the same thing about Pinot Noirs. Pinot Noirs can be very bold. So I love making the Lady Brunello, as I call her. I know she's like a fine pair of Milan Blahniks, and I'm still working on my husband to buy me a nice pair. But the other varietal that I really do enjoy making is Barbera in my Petit Syrah. There's nothing petite about a Petit Syrah, and it's I have only a small amount of Petit Syrah, but I also buy Petit Syrah grapes from Deaver Vineyards. Mm-hmm. I met Ken and Jenny in 2015, and I have been buying grapes from them ever since. Mm-hmm. And this is where, in the industry, those relationships that you have and you foster. I have friends that are all the way up in Oregon and Washington and, and across the country, and I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got this going on, or we're talking about wine, or our challenges and everything. And those relationships, though, are very, very crucial to your survival. And I believe it was 2017, we had a huge Santa Ana, mm-hmm. and the heat, though, was 112 degrees. So it's just like a blowtorch coming through. And some people lost fruit. We were fortunate just because of how we're planted and we had enough canopy. But let's say if I had lost my crop, because I do have those relationships, I can go up to Napa or Sonoma or Amador County or Central Valley and purchase fruit, but have a recommendation from a friend that's introducing me to that grower. That's important.
That's really fantastic to hear. And spoiler alert for anybody that still doesn't know, I was a brewer, I owned a brewery, I was a beer guy, and I find that the beer industry, not everybody, but in large part is very similar. They're very mm-hmm. supportive of each other, and there was plenty of times when I would just borrow a piece of equipment or some grain or hops or something that I needed from another brewer, and be able to just have people I could call up and say, hey man, I'm in trouble, I need help.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's really fantastic.
And that's the same way here in Highland Valley. As I said, there's 9 wineries. Everyone knows that they can pick up the phone and call someone if a piece of equipment break down or they need a piece of equipment. I think you saw we had a backhoe over there.
I saw that coming in.
Thank you, Jerry. That's where, community and those relationships come into play. And
is there any interest in any kind of like innovation, like, I don't know, maybe some kind of hybridization or coming up with new interesting wines or anything like that? Is there any kind of hunger for that in the wine industry? I feel like maybe that's in a lot of the rest of the beverage industry. They're always trying to come up with the next new thing that's everybody's gonna love. But with wine, it seems like it's managed to stay very, I don't want to say regimented, but let's say true to style. Is that fair?
I think that there's always going to be the new phase in any industry, and I think the wine industry has that as well. I'm just old school. I think that there is a beautiful marriage when wine is introduced to oak. Doesn't even have to be brand new oak. It can be a neutral oak. one thing about the pandemic was because we didn't know what was going to happen and everything was shut down, we really had to just wait and watch our wines evolve. And Mother Nature showed us some fascinating things. And I'm excited about two varietals. They're 2018, and we're just getting ready to introduce Alianico and Nero d'Avola. Nero d'Avola came from Para Valley Vineyards out of Paso Robles, and the Alianico came from also Para Valley. I have started buying some local Alianico, excuse me, from Oak Coach. Sandy Mubarak was the queen of women winemakers. She was one of the first female in San Diego County to make wine, and I'm starting to buy some of her fruit. And last year I bought all of Highland Valley fruit, so
wow.
that is very
Wow.
exciting. Including my estate, all of 2021 came from Highland Valley.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what's the percentage? What would be the kind of percentage there coming from your vineyard versus fruit that you got locally from other growers?
I normally purchase in 2 tons increments because of my equipment, and
Sure.
but we produce here. Maximum production we've had here is 12 tons, and I will buy additional 12 to 14 tons of fruit.
So about half and half.
Yeah.
That's a lot of grapes. And
is.
we all know how expensive property is in,
Yes.
in San Diego
Yes.
County. So if you can find more.
Yes, I know. We're totally out of space. Unless we tear down the house and put vines in the house.
Oh, no.
But no, it's really, I am excited about the local fruit that I purchase. I purchased my Merlot and Cap Franc grapes from Starvation Mountain, Cub and Kathy Beard. And
Starvation Mountain, is that on the Oregon Trail?
no, but there is a story about Starvation Mountain. Supposedly, when my husband would know the story better than I, but apparently there was a battle up there. But my husband thinks that it was Mule Hill, not Starvation Mountain. But who knows? So that's how it got its name.
Interesting.
There have been newcomers that have moved up on the hill that wanted to change the name, but they had serious backlash on that. They said, no, this is the name. But
That's fun.
it's beautiful. It overlooks San Pasqual Valley. It's just absolutely stunning. So our road goes all the way up to about 1,800 feet. So some at the highest point on our road, you can see down to Del Mar.
Oh, wow.
And the caves, yeah.
Just
So it's
about-
beautiful.
Just about see the ocean from here.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're only at 1,000 feet. In 2010, the county there was an ordinance that the county drafted that gave wineries that were 5 acres or more a by right to open up a boutique winery. And there were challenges there because nobody had done it before. It's just like anything, starting a new venture, and most of these areas are rural and agricultural, so they have agricultural buildings, and so there were some challenges there, but the community got in gear and showed a strong presence of how economically everything we do go right back into our community. I mean, I have a full-time worker, and so his salary goes right back into the community. So everything that all the wineries are doing up here is generating revenue for the county, as well as keeping people employed. And especially during COVID and everything, we were able to keep our employee on, our full-time employee on, which we were very grateful because he has family, and because we're all family oriented, that means a lot to us, even with our club members, our average club member stays with us a minimum of 2 years, which is great. It's also kind of unheard of in the industry, but I think it has to do with, because when people come, they feel special. and they feel as though they're they're participating in something that is about family, it's family oriented, and our club members, they know Peter and I, our grandchildren, our cats and dogs, when we had llamas, so it's more of a sense of community as well as relationships. Mm-hmm. And relationships are really crucial, especially I think when people are going through difficult challenges.
So a question that we like to ask all the beverage makers that we interview for our show is, what is it, in your opinion, and all opinions are valid here, that makes something craft?
I think that my approach is not, is what Mother Nature's going to give me. Mm-hmm. So without saying that, with that said, because of what Mother Nature gives me, it's not going to be the same formula every year. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be in that range. And I think that is always going to be the challenge of artisan winemakers, mm-hmm. is that you have a range, but it's not going to be a formula. There's you want your pH a certain area, you want your bricks, your TA, but what do you want that flavor profile? And I'll give you a great example. Our last few seasons have been very warm, which means my Sangiovese has been lighter in style. So to get that range, I've been doing a blend. And because for my palate, I want it to be I want it to hit in a certain range. Mm-hmm. So I would say that would be the craft versus if I was just, okay, I'm going to make this wine, but I want this wine to be exactly like last year.
I see. So the standardization is what, and I agree. I think standardization is what ruined white bread. And I'm. Right. I want a loaf of Italian bread. I want something with some crust on it. But when it's all the same, right. and it's all, and that's the only thing that matters, right. then yeah, you do definitely, you lose something, and you lose that art, and you lose the ability to, experiment with all these other flavors. So that's fantastic. It sounds like 2022 is going to be a great year for you guys. Absolutely. Above and beyond that, looking into our crystal ball for the future, what does it hold for the winery?
Well, our goal is to continue to indoctrinate my daughter into the business, because that's her succession plan. She's already involved in running the tasting room, and we're looking at bringing her on, permanently, and learning what I do. Even if I talked to her about if she didn't even want to be the winemaker, but Dad and I, wanted to retire or move on to different things, which I don't see myself doing that. I love making wine, but I want to teach her what I know. And the only way I can do that is to have her transition into it. She's got a great palate, and she's got a great nose. That's half the battle. So she's active in harvest. She's active in the logistics of things and behind the scene. And she has really been a great asset bringing her into this.
That's wonderful that you're able to make it multi-generational. And I feel like there's a lot of businesses that were kind of staples of the community for years and years that are slowly getting shut down and going away, right. because kind of the kids don't want to take over the business from their folks anymore. Yeah. And so it gets sold to the developer, and sure. They build overpriced luxury condos.
Sure.
All this talk is about the great wine, and being up to your knees in it is making me really thirsty. So I think with that,
some wine.
Yeah, let's go try some wine. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to try this. What have we got here?
So this is our estate Sangiovese. It's a 85% estate Sangiovese with 10% Primitivo from Deaver Vineyards out of Amador County and 5% Merlot from Orfila in San Pasqual Valley, AVA. Yeah.
Exciting.
So a cute little blend.
Yeah.
So it's Bing and tart cherry. This was aged in Pennsylvania oak. So it has a beautiful color and aromatics. And it goes with everything.
Definitely dark cherry. So tell me a little bit about the influence that the oak has on this particular.
Well, my approach to using oak is that oak should only complement. It shouldn't be in front of the fruit. It shouldn't be behind the fruit. Everything needs to be balanced. So I choose oak based on what's going to bring out the characteristics of the varietal, and that's going to complement it. So that's why with Sangiovese, I have used actually several different oaks in the past prior to the bourbon companies taking all the Kentucky oak, which I can't get anymore. I used to use Kentucky oak, French oak, and Pennsylvania oak. And actually, I used to put those three together. All things equal, once you put that wine in a different oak, it's different.
Sure.
It's totally different. So this was aged in Pennsylvania oak. I made two versions of 2018. We had one in French and one in Pennsylvania, and this just brings out all of the caramel, vanilla, this just mom's apple pie marrying with cherry fruit.
Definitely, so definitely a little bit of vanilla, and yeah, that real, a lot of that dark cherry. Has some fantastic smooth mouth feel.
Thank you.
Again, coming from the beer world, I'm not used to very astringent red wines, and usually that's not my bag, if you will. But this is really, really pleasant mouthfeel.
Thank you.
It's not kind of drying me out at all or anything.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
wow.
tannins we have a medium tannins, but you've got bright acid, you've got lots of legs, and it's just a really nice Sangiovese.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. Next, we're going to have our Barbera.
Oh.
Barbera is big acid. It's an acid bomb. So your approach with Barbera, don't you love that sound?
I do indeed. Although I'm a little worried about big acid. You're not going to splash that in my face, right?
Nope.
Okay.
It's all tame. So Barbera is just, I fell in love with Barbera when I went to Piedmont. It's, how you have an epiphany. Trader Joe's had this Barbera from this small little vineyard in Italy that they had imported, and I couldn't get enough of it. It was absolutely beautiful. And so when we went to Italy, we went to the Piedmont region, and we had so many delicious Barberas. What I love about a Barbera is that it's my workhorse. If I have a wine and it's, flabby, I'm going to add some Barbera to it because it's going to boost up that acidity and without taking away. This is a food-friendly, Barbera goes with everything. It's charcuterie board, it will go with pasta, of course. And but if I just want a really nice food-friendly wine, I'm going to pull my Barbera. Even though it is a big wine,
it is,
but it's food-friendly.
A little more, serious legs.
Serious legs,
a little more astringent than the last one. A lot of it's very woody. Very oaky.
And this was aged in almost neutral oak. So it's just the evolution of the wine in the barrel. I'm careful about the oak that I put this on because I don't need big tannins along with this big acid bomb. But Barbera is just my workhorse, and it marries well with Lady Brunello. She loves them. And I like playing with the two of them together because they just make this fantastic wine.
Well, fantastic. And
Well,
this
thank you.
is the Rocinante, eh?
Yes.
The workhorse.
So now we're going to taste our Petit
excellent.
Syrah. And Petit Syrah, there's nothing petite about a Petit Syrah.
Oh,
It's full
it's a misnomer.
body. Yes. It's full body. It's like squid ink, the color. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Petit Syrah is one of my favorites. It really is. Big old juicy steak, ribeye, rib roast, stew, anything hearty meat,
Sounds good to
bone
me.
in pork, sweet potatoes. I just love that sound. Look at that color.
I'm already starting to believe that this is going to be great with sweet potatoes and tri-tip.
I know. It really is,
fantastic.
right? Oh my gosh.
Oh, all right.
And for those of you who like a stogie, this is your wine. Cheers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's got a lot of big berry.
Yeah, this is blackberry, blueberry, blackcurrant. This is a big, big wine. It was aged in Hungarian oak, and it's just beautiful. So you've got, a little bit of that vanilla, but the wine is lean, but you still have some fruit, but it's just gorgeous. And this is going to change in about 30 minutes. I love to open up this petite and let it sit out on the counter and come back to it in about 30 minutes. Isn't that gorgeous?
That is interesting. Yeah, blackberry, raspberry, all those dark flavonoid fruits.
I was so happy that because this one took a gold at Chronicle this year. So the judges liked my wine. So I was proud of this one. I'm proud of all the wines. I mean, it's just where you're making things that sometimes are off the beaten path, It's rewarding to get that. And I remember my first award, and my husband asked me, he said, well, are you happy? I said, it just means I got to work harder next year. I was happy for the brief moment.
It is. You gotta keep going. I mean, that's just everything is just an incitement to get a little bit better and do a little bit more. Although, when I had my brewery, I once won a gold medal for a beer in Hong Kong. And so
wow!
For a while,
that's awesome.
For a while, I got a little mileage out of saying, well, like once you've won China, where do you go from there? But clearly, there's still lots of opportunity.
There's lots of opportunity. I know his desire is to enter our wines in decanter, and I said, we still need to grow a little bit. That's a huge jump.
Excellent. Oh, this is really fantastic.
Good? Yeah. And you know what? He's my husband's the pastry guy, so this goes really well with anything chocolate.
I bet.
Oh man,
about 75% cocoa, kind of. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. We have paired this with a triple chocolate cake. That was just to die for.
Or even something with some, anise or like black licorice or something.
Yeah. Or a brie with, oh gosh, what is that sauce I love putting on it? It's like a raspberry jam that you put on top of the brie, and you have this.
It's sold.
So good. It's really good. Yeah. Oh, it's like a chipotle. It's a raspberry chipotle. over a brie
That
is
sounds
so
amazing.
yeah, because the spice with the fruit of this is just amazing.
Guys, I'm not a wine drinker, but I am sold. Come for the atmosphere, come for the wine, come for the amazing people, come to Altipiano Vineyards and have some of this amazing wine.
Cheers. Thank you.